if you implement this simple strategy in your relationship with your women, whether you have one wives or you have many wives like myself and a few of you out there for that matter, if you just have the balls to implement this simple strategy, I guarantee you it's going to increase both the longevity of your relationship, the quality of your relationship, and ultimately the loyalty that your women have towards you, or woman for most of you. There is one fundamental error that is quite natural to make as men, that the majority of men make, and certainly with those men that I consult with privately, they're making this over and over and over, and undoubtedly I made this mistake in my past as well. I've been married for 20 years, almost 20 years, no doubt, to many women for that matter. No doubt that I have made this mistake in the past. And that is that most of you men don't make your wives or girlfriends, for my non-Muslim audience, invest in the relationship enough. You don't make them invest enough. What are you talking about, Mahdi? Isn't a man meant to provide for his woman? Isn't he meant to pay for the dinner, dates, laundry, shopping, whatever, you name it? Isn't he meant to do all of that? Well, yes and no. You see, the biggest reason why men suffer such dramatic heartbreak when they do go through a breakup, whether it's a divorce or whether it's just a breakup from a casual relationship, whatever the case may be, the biggest reason why men suffer such crazy heartbreak is because he has over-invested in his woman whilst she has not invested enough into him. And this is where sunk cost fallacy comes in. Sunk cost fallacy is you go to a casino, you have £100, you spend £90, you win nothing. You know the smart thing to do is to leave the casino and go and buy like a doner and chips with the final £10 that you have. But instead you say to yourself, no, to hell with that. I'm going to spend it. I'd rather spend it all and lose it all than come home with that 10 quid. Sunk cost fallacy. And what happens with men in these types of relationships is that they invest into the relationship without getting a respectable amount back in return from that woman. So because she is not reciprocating, at least to a respectable degree, in return, what does he do? He makes the number one mistake that most men make. Is that he starts investing more. He starts giving her more time. He starts overindulging her. Every woman desire more. He buys her more gifts. He takes her to swankier restaurants. He buys her more expensive bags. On and on and on. Sunk cost fallacy. When he should have just left the casino. Now, I'm not saying to commit relationship to, I don't want to say the S word on YouTube because they might censor it too early on into the video. Relationship self-deletion. I'm not saying that you should pull the plug on the relationship. I am simply saying is that when you over-invest into the relationship, your relationship with your woman or your women, and they are not investing something significant back in return, not only are they not as invested as you, obviously quite logical, but they are more likely to become disenchanted with you than you are with them because you've got sunk cost fallacy going on. She doesn't. You need to flip the script, flip the switch, and start having sunk cost fallacy work in your favor, gentlemen. There are a number of ways you can do this, and there is a caveat for the richer men who watch my YouTube channel as well, because the rule is not the same for you. You need to pivot slightly differently. But let me explain. To the average gentleman out there who is in a relationship, whether it's marriage or otherwise, you need to make your woman invest. Sometimes that means monetarily. Let her pay for the food sometimes. Let her pay for the meal. Let her do stuff for you. And believe me, if you're a man who of dignity and who respects himself, this is going to be very hard for you. It's going to be very hard for you. A man who prides himself on providing, provision, and giving, which is what any decent, respectable man prides himself on. The idea of allowing your woman to pay for something really, it gives you the ick. Believe me, I understand. But I also understand that a woman must be invested in the relationship. She must be invested in the relationship. And that means she needs to sacrifice her pound of flesh as well. And this signifies your worth as a man. Think about it logically. If you are the one always giving, and she is receiving, who, in this power dynamic here, who has the upper hand? Kings and queens are the ones who receive gifts from their courtiers. Well, you're the courtier and she's the queen. You're the one giving and not receiving at least something decent in return. I'm not even saying it has to be equal. I'm not saying split the bills 50-50 and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be equal, but she has to be giving back to you, investing back to you. That could be her paying for a meal when you go out one day, but it could be her serving you breakfast in bed. It could be her, think of it off the top of your head, something whereby she has to go out of her way, out of the ordinary. She has to actually inconvenience herself. That's the key word. She must inconvenience herself in order to do something to please you. Now she's invested. Now she has her pound of flesh in the relationship. And you can even use this in a punitive way as well, as a punitive measure. I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, I had arranged to meet one of my wives, and she was late to the destination where she was meant to meet me. I didn't complain. I didn't get upset. I said nothing. I stayed silent. And when we met up, I said to her, "You okay?" I said, "I'm good." She said, "I'm so sorry I'm late. Habibti, it's okay. You're paying for dinner." That's it. I didn't complain. I didn't explain. I didn't get upset. And I certainly didn't lose frame. I just said to her, "It's okay. It's not a problem. You're paying for dinner. Furthermore, you're paying for dessert as well." And I'll tell you, it really killed me. It really killed me taking money from her, man. But I knew that a punitive measure of some sort had to be enacted immediately to signify my worth and self-respect that I have for myself, to signify my worth in her eyes, that my time cannot be violated like that, because my time is expensive. My time is valuable. If you get time with me, it means that you're getting something special. You need to know that. Signify your worth. And you know what? It put a big smile on her face. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. There was no need to complain. There was no need to explain. There was no need to get into a tiff. There were no repeated phone calls or 1,000 text messages. It was simply a case of, no problem. You're paying for the dinner. And you're paying for dessert as well. And a few things that I can't even say on camera, because I've got to keep it halal. You know what I mean? You understand the point. Get your women invested into you. Now, the caveat. If you are a gentleman of means, a gentleman who has more money than the average individual, you're rich, you're wealthy, and it's well known. It's well known that you're wealthy and you're rich. This is going to be more difficult for you to ask your woman to invest in you monetarily if you're a rich man, because it's going to come off all wrong. The optics are bad. You're a multi-millionaire and you're asking her to pay for a £10 chicken and chips. The optics are bad. It looks really bad. But there are other ways that you can implement these punitive measures and have your woman invest in the relationship. It doesn't even need to be punitive. It doesn't need to come from an element of punishment, quote unquote. That's what punitive means. It can just simply mean that it can just simply ensure that you are having her invest in the relationship. So, for example, you make her do stuff around the house. Yeah, you could hire a maid. It doesn't matter. I want you to make it. Oh, but why we've got a maid? No, I want you to do it for me. I mean, you've got to do something for me. Surely, like, how else are you going to show me that you love me? You need to do stuff, woman. Get her to do stuff. Invent things for her to do, quite literally. I know you can hire a maid. I know you can have every single job that she would have otherwise done. You can have it done for her. Big mistake. She is not invested in the relationship, brother. Whilst you are balls deep in that investment. Like hook, line and sinker. So you need to find ways to have her invest. But if you're a rich man, having her invest £10 on a chicken and chips when you're worth 50 million, the optics are dead, rude boy. You can't do that. It looks stupid. You come off as a Scrooge. So you must find inventive ways to ensure that she is invested, that she has her pound of flesh invested into this relationship. Because only in this way will she have that sort of stickability or the ability to stick around more. Because why? Sunk cost fallacies in her mind as well. I've done this and I've done that and I've done the third and I've done the other. She's more invested into the relationship. So always be cognizant and aware of these power dynamics. It's so important because the majority of men that I do consultations with, the vast majority, and if you want to book a consultation with me, links are in the description. Just email me and I'll send you a link and we can talk privately. The vast majority of men that I consult with, and the majority of them are men of means as well for that matter, their power dynamic is flipped on its head. Their woman is more ready to walk away from him. She is more ready to walk away from him than he is to walk away from her. And remember, he who was willing to commit suicide has the initiative. Famous quote by Boris Spassky. This is in any environment where there is a negotiation of some sort going on. This can be typified in business. The party who is willing to walk away from the deal is the party that has the leverage. He is the party that has the leverage. Did you ever notice how when someone says to you, no, you know what? No, I don't accept that. It's fine. We don't have to do this deal. How does that make you feel straight away? It makes you feel like a sense of urgency. Like, no, we need to make this happen. It immediately instills that in you. It's abundance mindset, really. So be cognizant, be aware, and make sure your woman is invested.